Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank the witnesses for their attendance and thank the members of the public and the press for their attendance. We look forward to a very vigorous discussion this morning. I'd like to thank my friend, the ranking member from Minnesota, Mr. Klein, for his participation also. I have become, because of my daughter's involvement as an actress, I have a 13-year-old daughter who's an actress, a fan of musical theater. And my daughter spent a year on the national tour of the Broadway show Oliver, and she's in it again, playing a role this fall. And there's a great scene in Oliver where Fagin is the leader of a den of thieves. Some would say the House of Representatives sometimes resembles that, but I disagree. But Fagin is a leader of a den of thieves, of boys that are pickpockets. And Fagin is an abandoned, sort of lonely old man, and there's a great scene where he pulls out, when the boys are sleeping, a treasure box that has in it a bunch of jewels. And these are the main scores that Fagin's been able to get in his life as a bandit and a thief. And he refers to the jewels as his pension. He says that this is what's going to carry him through his old age when he is abandoned in his old age. And, of course, I won't spoil the end of the story, but there's something happens to the jewels at the end of the story. Doing what I do for a living, when I watch this scene, I, of course, think of ERISA. And I think about the fact that we've moved somewhat beyond the Dickens era, where the way you provided for yourself in your old age was to hoard something away and hope you could hang on to it, hopefully toward a more progressive era where an intelligent social contract between employers and employees yields a safe and secure and reliable source of income in one's retirement age. I view the ERISA law as a success, not a perfect success, but as a significant success since its enactment in 1974. Measured on the scale of reliability and security of pension assets, it's an overwhelming success. Failures of pension plans are so rare that they are extremely newsworthy if and when they happen. And that is a testament to the authors of that law, and even more so, a testament to the integrity and skill of men and women across the country who serve as trustees, as fiduciaries, as professionals, and others who work for plans. The law works. Where I do think we've had a shortfall is the 69 million Americans who work for a living and have no pension at all. Now, I don't think that's the fault of the ERISA statute. I think it's because it's not an issue that was thoroughly contemplated in 1974 and since then. It's an issue that is long overdue in contemplation. In 1999, when I was privileged to serve as the ranking member of this subcommittee, then Congressman Major Owens and I, he at the time was the ranking member of the Labor Standards Subcommittee, asked for a GAO report on the number of people without a pension. And that number, as I said, came through at about 69 million people. There is reason to believe that that number has grown since then because of various dynamics in the economy. This is a problem, I think, on two levels. The first, it's a problem obviously for the worker who has worked for many, many years and does not have sufficient income to carry himself or herself through retirement age. This problem becomes especially acute when one thinks about the glorious advent of longer life expectancy in our country. We can reasonably expect that many of our younger workers will live well into their 80s and perhaps their 90s, which is very, very good. But it does raise the issue of needing more income to stretch oneself beyond one's full-time working years. So there's sort of a ticking time bomb where the baby boom generation in particular will begin to retire, as it has now, and many, many members of that generation will have no retirement income other than their Social Security check. And that is a very precarious financial position in which to find oneself. So there's obviously that implication. The second implication is more societal and systemic. I make this prediction with no criticism of either Republican or Democratic parties. I make it with an eye toward the way things work in politics. If we continue to have tens of millions of Americans with no private pension, I think the day is coming when they will retire, They will notice that their Social Security check keeps them at or below the poverty level, and they'll be very unhappy about that. And there will be a political movement to blame the government. And the political movement will say that it's the government's fault that people don't have this nest egg or security that they ought to have. And the remedy, of course, will be to increase Social Security benefits. And my fear is that the two parties will get into a bidding war as to see who can increase Social Security benefits fastest for the highest number of people. This would be precisely the wrong prescription for Social Security, given its own fiscal standing. I think that we have a strong societal interest in alleviating or at least reducing this problem by expanding the number of working Americans who have a private pension. So the pressure on their incomes is lessened by the existence of that private pension. The purpose of today's hearing, which I hope will be the first in a series of serious inquiries into this question, is what good ideas people have to dealing with the needs of the 69 million Americans or more who do not have a private pension. I come to this hearing with no bias, no preconceived notion of what the right answer is. I'm frankly not eager to rule anything out or to say that anything must be included. The only quasi-bias that I have is I do think that an employer-based pension system has a lot to recommend it. I do not think an employer-based system should be the sole means of retirement saving by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think history has shown us, particularly since 1974, that a retirement system based on the employer-employee relationship works. It is stable, it is sound, it is well managed, and although, again, I would not rule out other possibilities, my initial inclination is to try to build a system for the 69 million people who have no pensions that relies heavily upon that employer-employee model. So the ground rules for today are there are no ground rules. We are interested in hearing what everyone thinks about this broad question. The committee would like to follow up on this inquiry with further inquiries, which I hope will grow out of this.